for 2 and everything.
Regardless.
Holy shit, your first day on it, I can't even explain my point.
No, Mom.
Regardless.
No,
I can't even finish my first point. First person talking, he's already saying
moderating.
Go ahead.
Good evening, degenerates, and welcome to the first ever Degen Hours debates. First on the card ever is going to be the topic of Dak Prescott. Is he a top 10 quarterback?
Yep. Wow,
Before we get into it, I'm going to just list you off his career stats, give us some preface, and then we're going to just dive on deep.
Thank you, Mike.
So,
Thank you, Mike.
Wow, career.
He came prepared.
I am prepared, always. So, Dak Prescott, on his career, he is 67% completion rating. He has thrown 29,400 yards. He has 202 touchdowns with 74 interceptions. That gives him a 2.72 touchdown ratio. We're going to start with the guys on my right arguing for Dak Prescott, Ryan and Tate. I guess we're going to start with Ryan here. Kick it off, baby.
Well, yeah, this isn't even really a sweat to me. I mean, I can go on forever.
We're talking Dak Prescott being a top 10 quarterback.
Top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, being a
Very
top 10
specific.
quarterback is the argument. I don't even think this is close. And honestly, to being fair to anyone,
I agree with you on that.
that's crazy. to be fair, we'll be pulling up stats. We'll do whatever you need. But to be fair to anyone, I don't think there has been a quarterback to finish with the stats he did last year, and anyone ever go, that person's not top 10 the next year. He literally had the best touchdowners. No, as every stat, not just one stat, every stat. Like the most touchdowns, second most passing yards, the best touchdown interception ratio. Like there's no. Like having almost the best in every category, he lost by 100 yards to Tua. I mean, good Tua had a great year.
He was third in passing yards last year, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, he's third? Oh, yeah, third in passing yards and touchdown was one.
He was number one touchdown.
Yeah.
Number one.
But I'm saying just like as a whole, that he had a perfect season last year, and let's not factor in the fact that they had one of the worst rushing attacks of all the NFL. It was absolutely terrible last year. Everyone saw it. Their offense line was banged up. It was one of the worst it was last year. The only thing they had was their defense, which people always argue their defense, and that's why Dak gets carries. But in his 8 years of playing, he's only had a top 5 defense twice, statistically. So and then I see Dak's argue his stats and everything. It's so funny to me because like as a career or since he started in 2016, if you played more than 15 games, he ranked 6th in touchdown interception ratio at 2.7. If you played more than I don't count the people that played a year like Jordan Love's or the C. Dish routes, but since 2016, 6th or 7th if you want to add like small people like Brock Purdy if you played 15 exact. It's depending on how you look. He ranks. So it's like so interesting the argument against him because it was the joke about picks. Me and Michael had the bet this year about picks, and he had his perfect. He had a perfect year this year.
His best season.
Yeah.
This season.
He did nothing wrong.
9 interceptions. Yeah.
But as a whole, I mean, as a whole, he averages 4,000 yards around 4,000. I think it's 39.50. Well, you have to count. I don't count seasons where you play 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you finish and then.
Well, I took out a season. I did the averages without the 4-game season because I mean I think that's just fair taking out 4-game series where he tore his ACL and he had 1,000 yards. Personally, I just took it out. I did it for all the people I like for 2 and everything.
Regardless.
Holy shit! Your first day on it, I can't even explain my point.
No, Mom.
Regardless.
No,
I can't even finish my first point. First person talking, he's already saying.
Moderating.
Go ahead.
Michael, get us back on track.
Not moderating anything. Jesus Christ. I should
Keep
fight
us
him.
line.
Jesus
Keep
Christ.
us line.
There's no line. But
Thank
anyways,
you, Mike.
I don't
Thank
think
you,
it's
Mike.
really close, and I don't actually. It's kind of weird because I've never seen a quarterback like this not be put top 10 after a perfect year with nothing. No, if it was like Zeke, the 2016 Zeke, I could see the argument because his top 3 offensive line, Zeke was the best running back in the league. Like there's a lot of arguments you can make. Specifically after last year, I don't think there should be a sweat he's top 10. Especially the season he's had. He's had better career stats than Josh Allen, Tua, Jalen Hurts, all these people, and they're all in top 10 in some people's minds.
Yeah, I want to get into that. So I respect his last season. Let me put that out there. His regular season last year was a phenomenal year, no matter how you cut it. 3rd in passing yards, great touchdown interception ratio, led the league in touchdowns, 36 touchdowns, 9 picks. Fantastic regular season. They were awesome. Never lost a game at home. Last year. I mean, that he played really, really, really well in the regular season. Looking at his career, so his last 4 seasons, right? 2 of those seasons he didn't finish the year. He didn't play full seasons, right? So
one of them was really bad.
Well, he played 5 games in 2020 and he played 12 games in 2022. in 2022, so the season before this last one, obviously he bounced back amazing. But he led the NFL in interceptions. He had 15 interceptions in 12 games and 23 touchdowns. So the year before, he had a very bad season. The year before that, did well when you look at yards, not great when you look at interceptions. And then 2020, he only played 5 games. So his last 4 years, he's completed 2 seasons, and his best season was the most recent one. But that's just when you're looking at the regular season. So my problem I have when it comes to Dak Prescott isn't the stats that he can put up in the regular season. He can throw for a lot of yards. That offense, we know, they throw the ball a whole lot.
CeeDee Lamb's ridiculous.
Yeah, they have great weapons. That their coaching scheme on offense is a whole lot of passing, and they do it great in the regular season. Dak Prescott's career playoff stats are what I want to focus on, and I also want to focus on the record because I think top 10 quarterback, we're not talking fantasy. If you're talking fantasy stats during the regular season, right, and you're the 16, 17 games, whatever you play fantasy, sure, you'll draft him in the top 10 quarterbacks. But that's not the conversation. NFL quarterbacks that are ranked in the league currently. His playoff stats in his career are 2-5 for record, 1962 yards, averages 270, with 14 touchdowns and 7 picks in 7 games. So all of his stats, all of his averages get worse in the playoffs, significantly worse. You said his touchdown interception ratio was 2.7 something. Mm-hmm. It's a flat 2. He's won 2 games, never made it past the second round. Or
never made it past the divisional.
Yeah, divisional round. And
he's only won a wild card.
Lost 5 times. So 2-5, terrible playoff stats, is not a clutch quarterback, and he's only a guy that puts up occasionally really big regular season numbers. Yep. So that's kind of what I have. I don't know, Tate.
I agree also, and I kind of want to piggyback off that and jump into the regular season for a bit as well. Because I think he kind of benefits as well from having the Commanders and the Giants, 2 teams that have been terrible of the last recent years, most of Dak's career, which is essentially 4 free wins on your record.
And
if you look twice,
well, just let me finish. If you look at Dak's record since entering the league in 2016 against opponents that finished the season with a winning record, Dak's career record is 21-29. So he has a losing record against teams that actually end up having a winning season.
That's the Cowboys for you.
Which is the definition of the Cowboys. Yeah. And it's not like it's crazy bad. I mean, 42% win percentage. It's not great, but it's not the worst in the league. But it just kind of goes to show he's not that elite level where he's going to take over a game and win you a game against the upper echelon teams.
Especially not in the playoffs.
Especially not in the playoffs. You see, as the stakes get higher, he gets smaller. Yep. That's kind of, again, with kind of piggybacking off Tyler, that's my issue with Dak. It's not that, again, in a regular season game against the Commanders or against the Giants,
he can throw for 400.
He could throw for 400, for sure. And CD will have 2 touchdowns, and Dak will throw to Dalton Schultz and someone else. We know he can have big games, but yeah, I don't know. I think I have him ranked 14th.
When people I love Herbert and people throw Herbert's name above Dak, and then I think I'm well, if you have that playoff argument, he's had pretty equivalent level of skill on his team, and
we don't have to bring in Herbert.
No, I'm saying the argument so you guys always go playoffs immediately. That's immediately your
actually.
When you have,
I went regular season.
When you have
who you're playing,
I think there's also a difference when it comes to sample size with that. And also the caliber of team, right? The Cowboys as a team have been top 3 regular season in the NFC for the last
5 years,
5-6 years, since forever.
Because
the Cowboys are stacked
because they have a good quarterback.
No, sure, but then so they're always in the playoffs, right? Obviously, easier side of the conference. Yeah. If they're in the same conference with comparable teams, I'd say that's reasonable. But when you're talking about Herbert with the Chargers, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Herbert lover in the world, but I don't really think there's I don't think you can put Dak and Herbert in the same conversation, regardless. Yeah. Just off of pure skill.
But what does that? How long can you go? What is Herbert? Herbert's going to his 4th year or 5th year?
He's going into his 5th year.
How long can you go until you have to go off what they showed? Am I supposed to wait another 5 years? Dak's already had 8 years, and yes, he might not win the playoff games. Lamar had the same argument. He's only had one more. I think he has one more playoff win than Dak.
Well, does getting in the playoffs in the NFC really mean? Is it that big of an accomplishment?
No, but the argument is top 10 quarterback right now.
No, I know.
The argument isn't all time
But you brought it back to playoff stats when the Chargers have obviously been a more poverty AFC team when the AFC is unbelievably more stacked than the NFC. Like, you put the Chargers in the NFC, they're probably making the playoffs. And then we'll see what happens. But I'm just saying,
Herbert's had better stats than Dak for like 3 seasons as well.
Probably 2 seasons. Got hurt one of the other ones, and I mean, just when Dak got hurt, he had his higher season. I think it was the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, so
even his rookie season was still
okay.
close.
Herbert aside, continue.
But like same thing with like Lamar Jackson. The argument was like in the playoffs, like
I don't think you could put Lamar.
no
out
argument.
there.
I'm saying when you're rounding off your top 10, you already have Lamar in there. You can have Herbert in there in your top 6. But when you argue the Dak side of it, I'm like, okay, like Lamar did this same thing. There was no besides he got this year finally punched his ticket and has one more further thing than Dak Prescott.
Correct, and he has a 2-time MVP.
I mean.
I don't
think he performed at all better than Dak during the regular season last year.
I mean, he's the MVP of the league.
No, I mean MVP. He's very flashy, and also people hate Dak, and I think that.
Well, running plays a huge part in it. I mean, Dak Prescott. Let's not get it twisted. Dak Prescott wasn't like close to winning the MVP last season.
I just disagree with that. I thought he was up top in the top.
How many MVP votes did Dak get?
He was in the conversation.
Maybe at the end of the year, Cowboys.
He had a blow up game. I know against the Niners. I think he had like 3 blow up games. He had a late one against the Bills that really hurt his.
Yeah,
MVP
the Bills
case.
had a bad game, but I'm saying like during the year, it was just.
He had 3 games that were really bad, and that's kind of what gave Lamar the little boost to win.
I'm saying it's crazy to me.
But Dak was in the convo for MVP.
Like, there's not many quarterbacks that are in the MVP convo that aren't.
Well, but
it
it's
was a
exclusively last season.
But I'm saying going into next season, after what he got hurt, he had an unbelievable year, and now he's going to next season. All you have to look at is I can't really look at 4 years ago. Like he's improving in my opinion. Maybe you don't have to think so, but like
No, sure, I agree he's improving.
so
last
like
year is his best
how
season.
you don't round up top 10 as he's brought his team to the playoffs 6 out of 8 years and has stats better or comparable to Kirk Cousins, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, all these people that have been in the league. Take whatever portion sample you
Well, I
want to
think
take.
if you want to look at you talk just those 3 specifically, Kirk. Well, I personally don't have Kirk above Dak.
Yeah.
I have a list of 12, 13 players that I have above him. I don't have Kirk there. But I think Kirk is a very similar comp to Dak with unbelievable regular season stats.
But you wouldn't have him as a top
You wouldn't have
10
him in the top 10 because of what happens in the playoffs. He's never he doesn't put his team in the spot where it's like this is a Super Bowl contender because they have Kirk Cousins. I don't think people look at the Cowboys like they're a Super Bowl contender because of Dak Prescott because they've never really done it. But it's just quickly on the MVP voting. Last year, Lamar Jackson got 49 of the 50 first place votes. The only other one to get a first place vote was Josh Allen.
No, this was like Mario said, they blew up. But throughout the year, Dak made a perfect case.
Sure.
To the last
Yeah. No, he had a great regular season.
My opinion is like, what do you think is going to get to the next? Like, what will make a quarterback top 10?
Either
going into next year.
Yeah. I think sustaining the level he played last year into the future without missing time in a season. Like 2 of the last 4 seasons, he hasn't finished the year. Last year, not like this past season, but the year before that, led the league in interceptions. Had a undoubtedly bad year. It was like a joke about how bad he was playing, how many interceptions he'd throw every time.
Quick side point to
then
that.
he went out and didn't finish the season, and then they didn't win a playoff game. So
Quick side point to that too. The year he led the league in interceptions when he only played 12 games, when he missed time, kind of going back to the Cowboys as a team, they went 4-1 without
that's like
Cooper Rush.
But that's like the Saints when they lost. Like your defense sometimes steps up.
because we have a good team. So it's like, again, like you look at the Cowboys' record, and we already know they've had kind of a weak division outside of like the Eagles. Like
you could say that for anyone. Like that's crazy.
You'd say like the Steelers division
with
is
the
pretty
quarterback
tough.
going out. Or are you saying talking
No,
divisions?
division-wise. There's a bunch of... Besides, there's like 2 or 3 divisions that were really solid across
I'm not
the
even
board.
talking divisions. I think that is a good point, though. When you talk about how well Cooper Rush played, and there was conversations on first take. It wasn't... No one took it
But
serious.
Cooper Rush,
No
he
one
threw for 150
Well, no one...
yards. It was
but they were still winning.
because their defense... When you have the
That's the
mindset
point.
and you practice differently...
So if you have if the team has the capability to do that without a quarterback, and early on we were saying, the Cowboys are always up there, and you're like, well, that could be because they had a great quarterback. I think that's a great counterpoint to it, where it's like, when they didn't have the quarterback, they were still winning games, actually at a higher rate than they were before. And there was that conversation, although I don't know how many people took it seriously, I didn't at least, where it's like, oh, should they let Cooper Rush still start?
Yeah.
I
going
think
into the playoffs.
like that's argument with like Kyler Murray or Josh Jacobs or Kirk Cousins and what's his name came in and balled out, or when Jake Browning came in and balled
Well, exactly.
out. Like,
And for none of those quarterbacks, we don't have them in the top 10. You talk about Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, all those guys. Like, if they can be easily replaced and their team success replicated, I don't think that quarterback has enough impact to be top 10 in the NFL.
but how was
Especially not when they've never had success
Didn't
in the
they
playoffs.
not make the playoffs that year? And they had 3 wins, so they just had a span of like 4 or 5 good wins. The Cowboys when Dak got hurt. When you were talking about this Cooper Rush run, I don't think they make the playoffs. They just had a good run of like.
I think they made the playoffs.
I don't think they made the playoffs that year. But anyways,
2 years ago.
whatever
talking-
Cooper Rush played, they were they went like 4-1 or whatever it was. I think they were like 3-7 and missed the playoffs. Pretty sure it was the year the Giants made the play. Like Daniel Jones is.
I want to say all of the teams I want to say the NFC East had 3 teams.
It's possible.
In the
You
playoffs.
could just look up 2022.
I don't know what year. I
Playoffs.
don't know.
I want to say
I
the
don't know.
Cowboys.
Was it 2020 or 2022?
2022.
2022.
Are you sure it's 22?
Yeah.
It's just 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Year before last
played
year.
12. I thought it was
He
the year
played 12
5
games. No, he played
No.
12 games. In those 5 games, Cooper Rush came in and played. I'm pretty sure the
He went-
Cowboys went to. Actually, I think they won a playoff game that year
They may have won it.
I think
Without
they won a
Dak.
wild card
with
game.
Dak in the wild card. I think it was one of his 2 playoff wins.
Yeah, they were a 3 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tay, I don't know if you have anything to add there. I have a list of quarterbacks. If you want me to read that off, or if you have anything you want to put in.
I mean, you can read the list of quarterbacks if you want. I was just gonna say what are your 10
Yeah.
quarterbacks and where do you have Dak?
Yeah. So this
Not your
isn't
top
this
10.
isn't in order specifically,
But just
but
10
these are
in
quarterbacks
general.
I would all going into next season, or like currently at least, like currently how I rank is NFL quarterbacks. This is not all of them are strictly statistics based. Some are who I like the eye test
tests.
better. Like it's the Herbert thing. They have similar statistics. Herbert hasn't been great in the playoffs. I clearly have Herbert above. If those are points you want to argue, that's fine. I have Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, C.J. Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, and 13 with a question mark. I have Tua because I have them at very similar quarterbacks. Tua had the best season of it. He's never done well in the playoffs. Always unbelievable regular season passing stats, and that's what I have.
Once, just last year.
So what number was Dak at?
I have him at that 13-14 number.
Okay.
He could be
That's
ahead of.
crazy.
I think he could be ahead of Tua, but I mean, if Tua he led the league in passing last year.
I know
If he
the, I know the,
replicates
if
that,
he
I
does
know
that
the
again.
bias of T-Law and your Clemson, but come on, over Dak.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a better
T-Law's done
quarterback.
T-Law's done nothing. He's very.
Yeah, he's got
very-
nothing to
I think
back
he has
up
a lot.
his
I think he
success
has a lot
in
of
the NFL.
potential. But if we're doing top 10 right now, I mean, just what has T-Law
Yeah.
done any year?
Well, I don't have him top 10. I have Trevor Lawrence at 12.
But I'm saying so
But I also
knock
have.
him down your
I
list.
said,
but over Dak.
well, the one season Trevor Lawrence was healthy, they won a playoff game, and then almost beat the Chiefs when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. The end of his season that year, closing those last 8 games, and then the first 2 games, like 2 games he played in the playoffs, I think was enough to show me that he has it. They got injured last year. Were they the 1 seed in the AFC when he got hurt? 1 or the 2 seed? They were 8-3, I think. And then he got hurt, and they were bad the rest of the year. Obviously, Dak's a more accomplished quarterback. He's done more for longer. Trevor Lawrence has been in the league for 3 seasons. First year was with Urban Meyer. Second year, great end of the season. Won a playoff game. Barely lost to the Chiefs. Lost by 6 points. Who won the Super Bowl? And then last season got hurt again.
One seed,
Yeah,
got
and
hurt.
don't get me wrong. If Trevor Lawrence continues to get hurt or not produce, he definitely won't be above Dak Prescott in that argument. But I'm just saying the short window I've seen, kind of the same thing with C.J. Stroud.
That's the top 10 argument because it's so short. Because Jordan loves C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence.
I agree.
You're all taking off 1 year,
Sure.
and Dak did it better than all of them the last year. Jordan Love, you can argue because the playoff win.
Well, I'd say the same for all of them. They've all had very short windows, looked great at times, and won playoff games immediately. Their playoff record is all better than Dak. All of those guys have better playoff record than Dak. They've been in the league for a season or
that,
3.
That helps or hurts.
Yeah.
It's
No,
both
but I'm
ways.
saying they did it early, and they showed that they're
But
like.
Dak did the same thing. As soon as he got into the league, everyone was blown away because they
Yeah,
brought
but-
him to the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Did they? I don't know if he won right away. He's
He
won.
didn't win a
He's
playoff.
won.
No, he didn't win.
That's what I'm saying. All these quarterbacks have won a playoff game.
No, Stroud won. It's one playoff game. Like that was a good.
I mean, Dak's won 2 his entire career.
No, but I'm saying it's tough to win. At playoffs.
Agreed,
Yeah.
and that's my reasoning.
But I'm
Why
saying
I have these
it
guys
could
up.
go where they. But that's why I'm saying it's such a. It's I live with the argument because it's a top 10 list based off just right now, like what could happen off their last year. Like,
Yeah, I'm
they're
saying
rookies. They could just be.
Who I would take, like this is who
Yeah.
I think is leading a team. You look at and give them these teams now have a chance to win a Super Bowl because of their quarterbacks, both regular season and playoffs. I'd take all of these guys above.
I think
Dak.
if Dak wasn't on the Cowboys, I think it'd be a long.
Just for
different
a point of reference, PFF and NFL Network have articles and they have their quarterback rankings. Dak at 6.
Oh, no one
both of
had.
them.
This is just our
And then-
argument with people against who hate
And
the
then
Cowboys.
CBS Sports has him at 8.
Okay, so
No,
where
everyone has them top.
I guess where do you? I don't think so.
No, but if you look on, I know we don't like saying this, but if you look, if you look on people that just love football and watch football and do the numbers, it's like Howard. I think put him at Colin.
Well, that's also they love regular season stats. They love
but,
regular
like, you-
season.
You're
That's a
acting
part
like
of
they
that's a
don't
part
do
of
both.
football.
You guys might
No, it
like
is.
the extra version of
They
playoffs.
don't really, because where's in that article, for example, where are players Jalen Hurts. Guys
Probably
who
right around, probably like 9.
could you?
Okay.
Well, But I'm just saying, like I look at a Jalen Hurts. The stats aren't always going to be there, but what he's done in the playoffs, young into his career, less years in the league than Dak, is so much more impressive to me than anything Dak's ever done.
I mean, if Dak got lucky and played the Niners team and Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL, he probably would have won the game.
I mean, the guys had what 8 years in the league to get lucky and have something.
But the
or win
Eagles
a
had
game?
their one chance, and they got the luckiest scenario everywhere. Maybe I'm
I
saying
mean,
for
they
the next 5
they
years.
got to the championship game though.
I'm
and they
saying
won
for the
that
next
game
5
and
years.
dominated.
And we're leading in the game.
The next 5 years, they could do nothing, and
I mean, maybe. We're just going off
but
what they've done.
But so if that happens, then I wouldn't have him in my
Yeah.
top 10. That's my point.
Things will get adjusted as-
off.
But I'm
2
saying,
years.
and listen, so I guess we can conclude it with this because I know we're not gonna argue, we're not gonna agree on anything. I want to I'll go down this list and just tell me what quarterbacks you think Dak is better than
Already
on this
said.
list.
I said Jalen Hurts. Well, that was your 8 through 12, or 9 through 12,
So you have him at 8. Is where you have
8
him.
or 9.
Okay, so you have him. You think he's better than Jalen Hurts?
Correct.
Better than Jordan Love?
Correct.
Better than Matthew Stafford?
Correct.
Wow. Better than Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence?
Yes. No.
Wow.
Wow.
The only sweats I have, I'll give you Matthew Stafford. I'm
Stafford's a shot. There's no world
there's no
is
world
he better
that
than
he's
Matthew
better than
Stafford.
Stafford.
You for everything. But sorry, go ahead.
I mean, Matthew Stafford, he had a good Super Bowl run. I don't think he's been staying on the field or playing at the high level he had before that. Personally speaking, Jared Goff, I think that offense is like Oklahoma offense, and he's been playing well in it, and he did it for a year with a perfect team for him, and they have no defense. I don't think he's better than Dak.
Well, Jared Goff's playoff record is also crazy, and
But,
his stats he puts up in the playoffs are awesome. I mean, his.
But what about the first?
I mean, with the
Rams, he put
and
up
then
8 points a game and had
But I'm
probably
saying
the
the
worst
guy
ever
went to a
playoff
Super
run.
Bowl with the Rams, switched teams to a Detroit Lions team that wasn't doing anything, and then took him to an NFC Championship where they almost won that game. Should have won that game, probably 8 out of 10 times at halftime. I mean, Dak's never done anything close to that.
But just in the playoffs, you're so heavily minded on a top
Regular
quarterback
season
list.
last year was
But
pretty
things
close
could be
with Jared
could be
Goff.
I mean,
all-
Jared Goff had more
but other
passing
things
yards.
can
Jared
happen.
Goff actually had a
But
better
other-
season
But it's 1 year that
passing.
Jared Goff went nuts.
Well, no,
And
but
we're
I'm
going
saying-
off 1 year of
But no,
Dak.
when you're
being
saying
good.
you're just focused on the playoffs, that's literally that has so much more weight than the regular season does.
But so that's only for 12. That means you don't look at 20 or however many 18 other quarterbacks in the league
No, I'm saying
because they have no chance of making it to the playoffs.
No.
Not.
no chance. I mean, they had the regular season to get there, and then once you get there, it's where the good players shine. That's how good. That's how you know if quarterbacks are good when it's playoff.
But I
games
never thought
and
Lamar
the fourth
Jackson
quarter.
wasn't amazing or Josh Allen wasn't amazing. When Lamar Jackson, besides last year, I know everyone said media put the stamp. Lamar finally got there. Before that, it was the shit on Lamar show that he doesn't win playoff games, has the best team on defense, and the
then
most perfect
and then he
1-2.
got there. And
But
they
I'm
were the
saying,
1 seed,
but I'm
and
saying
then they
before
won.
that, it was just there wasn't the absolute shit on him. He was still an absolute stud, and everyone loved him.
Yeah,
But Dak just never has gotten there. I mean, he
But before, I'm
should have
saying,
had a
what
walk
was-
against a Packers team that barely snuck in there. And
What-
Jordan
that's
Love.
crazy.
fucking-
What did they
cooked
start the
First
game
you argue
28-0 or
First you
something?
argue the walk, then you had they could have went to the Super Bowl. The Packers were that good. They could have beat the Niners. Which one is it?
What?
First you said they should have had a walk against the Packers, but the Packers were good enough to almost
Oh,
go
I
to the
don't
Super
think
Bowl and barely beat the
I wouldn't
Niners.
say they should have had a walk, but I mean they got stomped on by the Packers. That was not a game.
Dude, Dak played a bad game.
Well, yeah, and the
Tried
team
to
got
Maybe he gave him
stomped.
14 points.
No, but then they
the
also
first
gave him 30 other. The defense gave up another 30 points.
Wait, it was 2 pick sixes that game?
It was a pick
Yes.
inside the red zone,
Theoretically,
in
two
their
pick
own red
sixes.
zone, and then a pick six. Yeah.
I'm saying that the defense still gave up 30. You could argue about the bullshit points in the game.
No,
but
sure. I mean, I don't think the Cowboys are clutch at all. I think a lot of that has to do with quarterback play. But when you're talking about, I'm only focusing on the playoffs so much, there's a reason for that.
But it could be 50-50.
That's kind of what
But no,
separates
but
the
when you're
elite
saying
quarterbacks.
you don't look at the
But
other,
elite is top 3, top 4, top 5.
yeah, he's clearly he's
We're talking
nowhere
about all
near
the
that.
quarterbacks that we're talking. No, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one on the list. No one on.
No, I agree. Yeah,
I'm
he's
saying
not
that
on that.
when you get to the next list, these quarterbacks aren't most likely making Super Bowls without miracle runs one year or luck factors of injuries.
I think
or
if you
bullshit.
I think if
So
you
then I factor in what's next after that. How do they get there? Their regular season and their career.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of, and also if you look at my list as well, you're right, the top is the elite that are the ones getting to the Super Bowls, or at least
Which I 100% agree with.
are close to it. Mahomes is kind of running through
Also
the AFC,
Herbert's a weird.
so it's hard to have the AFC quarterbacks up there because no one else is making Super Bowls in the AFC besides.
I give Joe
Brady and
Joe Burrow a
Mahomes
pass
for
for 2 more years. That's my thing.
Well, yeah, but then the other batch, I think, is the young quarterbacks who clearly have expressed they can do this, or at least I think they can do it based on how they've played both regular season and playoffs. I think we've seen so much of Dak, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the next 2 seasons he repeats what he did last year, and hopefully doesn't repeat what he's done in the playoffs. Because you can have the best season in the world, and if you go out and throw 2 pick sixes in the first quarter or 2 of a game in the playoffs, your team's down 30-0 and you lose in the first round. No one cares how many yards you threw in the regular season. That means nothing.
The season meant nothing.
Yeah, it means literally nothing. So
no, it's fair. I'm just saying, like, if he repeats top 3 in every category for the next 2 years,
and he wins some playoff games.
But wins a couple playoff games.
Then he could be top 10.
Yeah.
But he's never done it. He's never had repeated seasons of this success. Never had
this
before.
is unbelievable. I mean,
two good seasons in a row.
I mean, a lot of people don't. You guys know, a lot of people don't do this. Like Josh Allen.
I'm just saying he's never.
Mahomes had a terrible year this
in
year.
his career.
Lamar's had back-to-back years.
He's never had 2 good seasons in a row. Every time he's had over 4,000 passing yards, the next season he's either gotten hurt or not hit 4,000.
No, but a lot of quarterbacks do that. This is a tough league. If you look at you want to stack up any quarterback.
And that's why not every quarterback's top 10.
Yeah. But a lot of ones you list haven't gone back-to-back that well.
No, a lot of them are young, and the top are the
that's what I'm saying. So, like, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue your point when
he's had his chance to prove it.
There's a better chance for someone to do something in 1 or 2 years and prove it to you than when you look at it for 8 years and you have something to argue against. So I think your point makes sense, and we can't answer it until we wait. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, but in my mind, so I guess we can conclude saying where you have him in your list. I know you said 8. I have him at that 13, 14 number.
I had him pretty similar to Tyler. I had him, I think, at that 14 number.
I have him where everyone else
do you have him?
8 or 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9. All right, so I guess agree to disagree on
borderline
that.
with Tate.
We're getting close there. 8 or 9. We're creeping up there.
I got no common sense of the best players in the thing, but then that fishy area from 6 to 13, or 7 to 13 is like all these quarterbacks don't really make runs, or they're on the younger side who won a playoff game early.
Yeah, I can understand why you'd have him above a few of them, like especially Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, there is a little bias there, but I think the young aspect.
Mario, do you have Trevor Lawrence?
I don't think
Dak Prescott.
I think he is better, but I think it's close.
I also don't think I feel very strongly, just to close, that putting him above Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, and then especially Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff is a little crazy.
But I'm saying in my list, Matthew Stafford might be 9.
Debatable though.
But my list, like I said, Matthew Stafford could be 9.
Even
or
Goff,
10.
I think Goff's crazy.
But
I think for me, Goff and Stafford, and even Love too, to be honest, or
especially when they dueled in the playoffs last year.
That was
it's just hard. Just one year.
Hey,
Love 1 year.
There we have
it. It is true.
It's
true.
We'll see what Dak does next year.
Same with CJ Stroud and all these guys.
Yeah, we'll see what they do next year.
Them,
but if I know anything about the Cowboys, I think I know how this is gonna play out.
All right, gentlemen. I think that concludes our first debate. It was a lot livelier than I thought it would be. A lot more in depth, but that's the content that you should be looking out for. So be sure drop a comment, hit that notification bell.
Yeah, comment where you think
Dak. Dings.
Comment where you think Dak Prescott is.
Is he top 10?
Is he top 10?
Which side are you on?
No one's gonna say top 10.
Yeah,
no
one
one
is, because
Down
it's the
with the
people.
Cowboys.
They don't watch football.
We still want to know your opinion, and keep an eye out for all the future debates coming at you hot. Bang. Goodbye.